The Trendiest Speaking Patterns by Dr. Layla Al-Ghalban. Here we go. How we style our speech or language generally determined by a number of factors. For example, context, age, gender, occupation, region, social aspirations, and speech fashion. Yes, fashion. Language trends come and go just like fashion. Language looks like a big closet full of outfits of different colors and designs, and we pick from these outfits the one that fit the situation or the occasion, and also that satisfy the look we desire to have. For example, we need a trendy look, a classic look, a casual, formal, an edgy, a dreamy look, etc. So fashion and language are so similar. And our linguistic styling is part of our identity. Just as we choose the right outfit for the right occasion, we use the right words and utterances for the right situation. So this is something we have to admit, because this is out of the very nature of language. So let me ask you this question. What are the trendiest speaking styles you have ever heard lately, either in English or in Egyptian Arabic? Generally speaking, language tries to fit into the changing world it represents, and change happens in time and space. And it's very difficult to separate the two dimensions, because a change in time involves a change in space and vice versa. And change involves all levels of language and all components of language: vocabulary, grammar, meaning, and of course pronunciation. And this variation takes different forms. For example, we have dialectal variation, where dialects vary from one place to another place. We have also different accents, where variation is only at the level of pronunciation. We have phonological variations only. Variation also could be social, and each social class or age group tries to have its own speaking style that sets it apart from the rest of classes. And this is called sociolect or sociolect. And this is, for example, the dialects of teenagers, millennials, old people, etc. Speech variation can also be related to occupation. And each profession has its own words, which is called jargon. This variety or occupational or professional variety is called jargon. So when, for example, two doctors speak together in front of some patients, for example, they can speak in a way using terminology, medical terminology, to exclude the other people who are hearing, who happen to hear what they are saying. So each profession and each work field has its own terminology, which is called jargon. Variation also would go on, and we can develop styles and registers according to the context and social distance we maintain between others and us. For example, we can talk formally to people who are older than us, who are higher in position than us. We can talk informally to people who are, friends and so on. We can talk casually to intimate friends. We can talk politely and impolitely and so on, depending on the situation. is this the end? No. Variation also can uh, extend to the individual level, and each one of us has his own way of speaking. Certain words, certain structures, certain chunking of speech, things which are peculiar to his own way of speech. This is called idiolect. So variation is multiple, and we have dialectal variation, we have pronunciation variation, we have social variation, style and register variation, and jargons and idiolects, and so on. So it's a very wide spectrum space for variation in language use. Okay, let's move on. However, we have something which I want to talk about today, which is very trendy. This speech pattern is so trendy in nowadays in the US, and it's creeping to everywhere in the world. And this is called vocal fry. And it goes like an epidemic, and that's taking place, and taking the whole world by storm. And as I told you, it originated in America, and it goes viral. It definitely hits your ears in movies, songs, shows, performances, and also everyday conversation. Vocal fry, what's vocal fry? Vocal fry is a sort of phonation, phonation or voice. And it's produced when there is no enough air or press to sufficiently vibrate the vocal folds. Look at this. Here are the two vocal folds seen from above, and this is a normal phonation, and this is a vocal fry phonation. In the normal phonation, the press and the air is enough to vibrate the vocal folds sufficiently and to have clear and strong voice. On the other hand, in vocal fry, there is no enough air and there is no enough press, and this is why the sound or the voice produced is creaky, and the person who is speaking this way may sound lazy or drowsy or sleepy and so on. They are speaking like that. Let me say, for example, the last sentence, people who speak in a vocal fry, they sound like this. It's natural in one way or another, because anyone can speak in a vocal fry better when, for example, we are still sleeping, or we are tired, or we get older. For example, we have Chomsky, and Noam Chomsky is a great linguist. Nowadays, he's speaking using vocal fry most of the time. So it's a trendy speech, and as I said, and it's spoken by teenagers and millennials in America. And due to the influence of the social media and entertainment industry and so on, we find that this sort of speech is resonating with social and identity needs of many millennials and teenagers worldwide. And why it's called vocal fry, we do not know. There is no definite answer for this question. But some roughly say that the creak of voice sounds like chips or meat scorching in a frying pan. And vocal fry, is praised by many celebrities, as you see here, Britney Spears and Kim Kardashian and her sisters, and and they are using this sort of speech, and because teenagers, girls, and millennials, they want to imitate those stars, and this why this sort of speech and this sort of nation is so trendy. Attitudes. How do people perceive and look at vocal fry? How they look at it? How do they? What are their attitudes? The voice style gains more fame and acceptability, as I told you, by female teenagers and millennials. And the trend becomes a symbol of intelligence and cleverness. And vocal fry has recently gone viral. Let me speak, vocal fry, crossing the Atlantic pond to Europe and then to the whole world. Young women find it sexy and feminine to speak like a frog, when we use or when we wear the vocal fry. We people speak like a frog, rabbit, 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 and this is like an old people like to speak like, young girls like to speak like a frog or an old creaky door, there's something very hilarious. And vocal fry speech still triggers a lot of debate, however, with a study reporting increasing negative attitudes towards women speaking vocal fry. The second kind of speech, which is also trendy, is what we call the valley girl speech, or up talk, or up talking. People up talk. How to up talk? To up talk means to have rising intonation, to end your utterances in a high pitch, and this used to make as if, this commonly used to make yes/no questions, And in some accents and dialects, and in Ireland, for example, and in Scotland, and even in Britain, the rising intonation is used with statements. It's not used only with yes/no questions. It's used with statements, and this is something regularly used. It's used on a regular basis. So it's not new. It's not new, but it comes into popularity with when we have a movie with this title. Let's see. Voice goes up at the end of every utterance to sound like questions. This is another trend speaking style called the Valley Girl speech, and it has other names such as valley speak, up talk, among other names. And it originates in California in the 80s and has ever since gone viral in many European and Asian countries. I'm using up talking now. Although many people don't like it, Valley Girl is associated with attractiveness, femininity, upper social class, etc., etc., etc. This is how they speak, as if they are making yes/no questions all the time. This is something trendy and very attractive to lots of people, especially girls and millennials. Okay. The question is, are there vocal fry and valley girl speech in Egypt? As I told you, that these speaking styles have been moving, traveling to the whole world, thanks to media and entertainment industry and so on. Yeah. Let me answer this question. Although we cannot say that there is vocal fry or vulgar speech in the strict sense of the word in Egypt. Many well-to-do and well-heeled and upwardly mobile Egyptian girls and celebrities are bucking similar trends to fit in globally and to set themselves apart from the mainstream speech patterns, to imitate the American stars and global stars and so on. Uh, you know, uh, so we hear you hear them and you feel that they are different. Um, However, we have very little to say about that because this needs systematic study and systematic research, and it's too early to say that. However, we can say that there is it happens. It's there. Vocal fry there and Valley Gore speech is there in Egypt and in certain areas and spoken by certain social sects. And you know, but this needs thorough research. I can't confirm this, but you know, out of my observations, I can say yes, there is vocal fry and there is up talking in Egypt, but this needs thorough research. Okay. However, there are some features that one can hear and observe impressionistically. You know, one of them is the fast speech rate. Egyptians in general, young Egyptians generally, they speak faster than previous generations. They also kind expressions and puns like all teenagers and millennials around the world, and satirical comments urging others to speak the same way. So their speech rate is faster. You know, this is something we can observe. They share the common belief that the faster you speak, the more intelligent and competent you sound, and therefore the more appreciation you get. This is how people look at fast speech rate. You know, second, girls in particular put more energy in pronouncing most important words in their utterances. And this to imitate the way people color their utterances, stress in their utterances, just the American way or the English way, and so on. A third feature is code switching, and code switching is not new; it's there. But upper class young Egyptians switch to English to drop some words here and there, and now and then, and so on. A fourth feature is the labelization or velarization. What's velarization is pronouncing sounds with extra lip rounding and tongue retraction of some consonants and vowels, which could spread to the whole words and utterances. And this trend is gaining momentum, though it might not appeal to many people. For example, the word khalas, we can hear it from those girls and in well-to-do areas. A word khalis, for example, they can say khalis, liberalization, rounding their lips, khalas. And so on. This is what comes to mind now. Of course, there are other examples. You can report me these examples, please. Yes, some famous examples in Egyptian media and celebrities. It crossed my mind now. Dunya Samir Ghanem and some of the roles she played in many Egyptian movies and TV serials. She's very good at imitating accents and putting on different accents. Really talented. In one of her movies with Ahmed Mekki, Tir Enta, for example, This is one of the movies where her talents of trying different accents and dialects are shown. One of them is the up speaking and up talking, and also can say that vocal fry or different features that you may may feel so new to the way Egyptians used to speak, different phonological features. We have also Dina Sherbini and other actresses in some famous TV shows and serials. And the third example is the style of Sally Fouad, the renowned nutrition expert. She usually uses rising intonation in almost all her utterances, and these are just few examples. So I tried in this video to make you acquainted with two trendy speaking patterns: vocal fry, and up talk. And the purpose is to let you know how things go, and also to be sensitive to how Egyptians, especially teenagers and millennials belonging to upper classes, speak and imitate the other people worldwide. Um, Finally, our speech is our primary mode to convey our thoughts and connect to others. It is also symbolic of much of who we are and what we aspire to be. And it's no wonder then that speech is always subject to change and fashion trends. And thank you.